So, your second session, and so is mine. I'll just be taking you through one of the world's largest social protection wage work program called MGNREGA and how GIS technology was used. Just a quick background. As it happens in most countries, in developing countries, India has also faced a lot of periods of droughts and different humanitarian responses. And in 2005, the Parliament said that these responses in exclusion or isolation are not enough. It was debated, and an act of the Parliament was passed called Mahatma Gandhi National Rural Employment Guarantee Act. So it guarantees, as a sovereign government, anybody in rural India says, I don't have enough work, they have to be given 100 days of wage work within 5 kilometers of where they live. So it is self-targeting because the experience from targeted approaches was not very good, and so this was more of a statutory response. Given 1.3 billion people, it's not surprising that 250 million people have signed on to this program, out of which 76 million worked last year. And the government of India spent about 7.4 billion euros on this. Now, the GIZ's role in all of this has been how to take this works, what are implemented through it, more towards natural resource management, so that the assets that are created in are something that will help them climb out of a cycle of poverty sooner than later. And so our focus is natural resource management, how to increase it within the works, and this is what we've been working on. Now, when we started looking at such a huge amount of money available and so many people to work at a local level, we said that what we found was that even though 60% of the allocation is to be spent on natural resources, which is like 4.3 billion euros, the weakest area is the planning. And because the people on the ground do not have a integrated natural resource management planning perspective, especially engineers and diploma holders who are assisting the panchayats, the planning tends to be just isolated activities which are not really, in the direction of what you want to do. So there are 600,000 villages. How do you make this happen there? That's the other challenge. And then how do you involve 250 million people in a process which is more inclusive, which they can control? And only if there's good plan, will it be good implementation, and in fact something worth monitoring. So we looked at geographical information systems. It's not rocket science, it's been there. What we said, how can we leverage this to bring this sort of scientific logic, speed, accuracy to this? Basically, we use, and I'll show you spatial images available on the panchayat level, at the lowermost level, where the existing secondary data, household numbers, animal husbandry, how many people, how many poor, all that feeds into the spatial layering of how they see their area. Also along with it is the indigenous knowledge of what works, what doesn't work, and then also their priorities, the wish list. So we also worked on, as a design, on the publicly available. So it's not an ArcGIS thing where a technician needs to sit down and work as a doctor. This is something you go on the web, anybody should be able to do it, and therefore you have to bring it to that level. And ideas to save time. Now, on the right hand side, if you can see, is the plan that has emerged for a panchayat from top to bottom. Different colors are telling us what they want to do in each area. So how did we do it? We used the web GIS imagery from the government's own Google portal. Now this was a portal set up by the Space Agency of India, but it was not really used for development too much. So we worked with them, got them to change it a bit, and we developed a whole planning methodology which looked at this data, the secondary data, and put it all together into a handbook which is freely available on the website that I mentioned here. But then once we tested it in one state, in Rajasthan, one of the most difficult states, it really took off. The state government found it very, very useful. So we work at a national ministry level and we work in 3 states. In one state we tested it, and then the Ministry of Rural Development asked us to help them scale it up all over the country. Last year we helped them train about 4,000 people, all the way from national to state teams, to district teams, to block teams. And now this planning is already being done all over the country. We also realized that just having planning and methodologies of this nature will not help. Where do people actually, so ideally every panchayat should have an internet connection and a computer, which happens in some cases. But in many it doesn't. So how do you bring this imagery to them? How do you help them really plan like this? So we set up as a trial 26 GIS labs at a block level, where panchayats can come, get the imagery, go back, plan and take help. And now the government is rolling this out all over the country as well as a backbone of the planning process. Now, what do? Many times in any panchayat, many departments have been working in the past, and even from an NRM perspective, activities have been done, but we start as if it's a clean set. It's not. So first of all, we start by looking what already exists. So there's already a water harvesting structure, but no water ponding structure, that's first priority. But there's a water crib dam, but there's no harvesting structure, that's the priority. So we first look at, the panchayat looks at what exists and builds around it, and then we look at maps like satellite maps. So the satellite map tells you so what you're seeing on the boundary here is the boundary of the local council, the panchayat. And though people are able to place themselves, which side is the hill and which side is the water flowing, that's a drainage map. So such maps are actually, they can carve them out themselves on the internet, take them and use them in planning process, and they can also print them out and take them to the villages and work on them. Similarly, a watershed map, because not only is MGNREGA working on watershed, but many other departments are. So what are the watershed numbers? How can you converge? How can you look at what they are doing? Land use and land cover. So if you see the topmost part above here, the dark green is what is the actual existing forest. The light green is where the forest was and is gone. The red parts are where the maximum damage is in terms of open available land is. So you can again plan by this. Soil erosion, where the maximum soil is getting eroded, that could be a priority. There are areas where there is saline areas, that can be a priority. And all these plans or maps help people to bring the data together and come up with an action plan like this. So if you see this plan, on the right hand side is, first one is a pasture development, which could be is something maybe the goat herders of that area want to do. So in this sense, these are all interventions around NRM, plantation, etc. that are being done. Now we also realize that if this really has to be done, then you have to enable the planning processes further on the bottom of the bottom. And there are 65,000 technical people on the ground, and another 350,000 people who are not technical people. So we said you can't keep training them through cascades of training, physical training. So we did a training disruption. We created a massive open online course where in just 2.2 hours, anybody can log in from any village and learn how to do watershed planning and MGNREGA planning. Step by step, can keep going back when they've forgotten it, how to make a shapefile. All the technicalities are there. And we are planning that almost about 25,000 plans will be done, especially this year, 10,000 in our panchayats. So basically, it also provides new opportunities. Once such a plan is there, 5-year perspective plan, you can also take out parts of it and give to other departments. These are agricultural activities, we give it to you, because they are not doing something like this. All activities are geotagged, so you can actually, they are publicly available on the website. So you can go and see what all is purportedly having been done in my panchayat, and is it actually there or not. Also, we have connected this to a system by which the approvals and admin process goes on the national level called Secure. The electronic fund management system exists. It does 100% of the payments in quick time now. Most interestingly, for 76 million people, 96% of the wages are being paid through direct bank transfer into the account. Still in a country where 40% people still don't have nearest bank branches. So how those technology challenges are still also being used and incorporated into such approaches. So we hope this will further lead to holistic convergence of other development departments apart from social protection, making it more inclusive. So this was what I wanted to share. If you have any questions or clarifications. Yeah, please.
Typical question on the GIS system, does it support multiple hierarchies, maybe a health district hierarchy and administrative hierarchy,
so you can keep adding the layers. Yeah. So you can actually take a layer of health facilities and add it as a layer and superimpose it on the same panchayat.
Okay.
Yeah. So all layers can be georeferenced and added. Yeah, please.
What do you do with the issues of non-compliance for the mandatory spending on natural resource management? Are there any ways that perhaps you deal with those that they have not complied?
Because it's a statutory budgetary allocation, and you know in a government how that works. If the money does not get spent, then there's serious repercussions. So here what is happening is that every month the ministry and the states do a review. So in terms of the statutory protocols, they are there. And in some cases, there even people have to pay fines if they don't achieve targets. For example, if he has applied in his panchayat to work, and within 15 days, if he does not get a clear registration of his name, of his family, then he starts getting an allowance immediately. And I was the panchayat person whose responsibility it was to make sure he gets it. It comes out of my salary. So there are systems like this which have been put into place, which are not popular, but they are there. Otherwise, you know our systems, it will never work, yeah, in developing countries. I'm sorry, sweeping statement, but yes. Yeah, please. Go, please, yeah.
This system is amazing. I was working before in Ethiopia, where they do a lot of the same thing, vast amounts of land, and have nothing like this. It would be very useful. We just came from another session where they did talk about these systems becoming open and sharing them with other countries. Are there any kind of initiatives on that? And something I might have just missed at the beginning was I didn't understand where the inputs came for those maps. Like, how did you get them for the whole country on all these?
Okay. So maybe I'll take the second one first and then this first one. So what actually happens is there's this website of the government. Anybody logs in from the panchayat, and we provide that training through the massive open online course, which teaches you how to cut out your panchayat boundaries, how to make the various thematic layers. And within about 2.5 hours, and maybe trying it for 3-4 days, anybody can learn. Anybody with rudimentary skills can learn.
But like information on erosion or watershed?
So it's all there in the imagery. So there's erosion map, different. But also every panchayat also has this secondary data lying around. The revenue department has this data. But on the other side, I think with the question that you asked about sharing within projects, I have heard a lot about the PRC and the Ethiopian experience. So we'll be very happy to share whatever we know, whatever we have understood and learned, anytime. And in that line, I would like to, and my colleague Martin here, we would like you to, so we thought of how to do our business card differently. So this is basically a USB drive. It contains as much, we thought of relevant information about MGNREGA for you, and also other allied programs that you may find interesting. Yeah. So this is our time, the digital not with you. Please feel free to come and take it. Yeah. I think we have to move. Yeah. Oh, you don't want to go. So I'm very happy to answer questions later on as well, knowing that this time is short. But please feel free to take these. Yeah. I don't want to take them back.